There are so many different types of milks out there when you go to the supermarket, from full fat to skimmed milk to semi-skimmed milk. But which one is actually healthy and which one actually helps you to lose weight and live longer? Since the 1960s, there was an assumption that high-fat products would lead to cardiovascular disease and obesity. And of course, it makes sense that if you consume a lot of fat, then you're going to gain a lot of fat. But is this actually true, and is there any science to actually back this up? In this video, I'm going to show you which type of milk actually helps you to lose weight and which one will help to extend your life, not backed by marketing or any assumptions, but what does the science, the research actually tell us which one is the best one going forwards. So stay tuned, let's get started. Hello there, my name is Dr. Steven Hulme and welcome back to the channel where we're all about helping you to live your best life. And in this video, we're talking about the different types of milk that is out there and which one is the most healthy, because I know that usually the reason why you may choose one is because of health reasons, because you're thinking that you're doing yourself a favor if you choose the type of milk that has less fat in it. Now, just to help us to understand where the low-fat milk came from and why it's on our shelves, it's really helpful to just understand how it came about. So it came about initially in the 60s, so in the middle of the 20th century, after there was a rise in cardiovascular disease. And the belief at that time was that saturated fats was the major cause of cardiovascular disease. And so there was a huge push to reduce saturated fats in our diets. And this is where they decided to skim off the fat in dairy products, with milk being one of the major ones because of our huge consumption of milk. Now, cardiovascular disease is one of the biggest killers in Western society. And although there are lots of genetic factors involved with that, so if you have a family history of it, you are more likely to get cardiovascular disease, the lifestyle factors weigh much more than the genetic factors. And of course, the lifestyle factors is something that we can do about it. Now, amongst all the lifestyle factors, food and nutrition really come high up on the list there on things that really affect this type of disease. And because it's the number one killer, if we can reduce the incidence of cardiovascular disease, we can extend our life, but also it can affect our health in the short term, because the quality of the foods that we consume can have an effect on our health and how we feel, but also in regards to obesity and fat gain. Now, since the 60s, the marketing push for low-fat products has been fairly consistent, but what does the research actually say? I'm going to take you through three of the papers that I found. There were lots of other pieces of research I have read on this topic. I don't want to give you all of them, but let me just give you a summary of just a few of them. So one piece of research here where they compared full fat and reduced fat milk with the incidence of obesity in children, and they actually found that high fat, so the full fat milk, was linked with less obesity. Second piece of research here saw no association between dairy consumption, so this is including full fat and low fat, with cardiovascular disease. And this last piece of research here, done in 2012, saw a higher intake of saturated fats was associated with less cardiovascular disease. So I put these ones in because they go against a common belief that the more fat you consume, you will have more chance of getting cardiovascular disease and you'll have more chance of getting obese or becoming fat. And I was generally hard pressed to find any research that really showed a significant correlation between consuming these low-fat products like low-fat milk with less obesity or less heart disease or less longevity. It seems to all be correlated with actually poor health, and yet for some reason our marketing or our food on our shelves has not caught up with it. So I really don't see the advantage of consuming low-fat milk because it doesn't, in my opinion, taste as good, and it definitely isn't as healthy. One of the other issues with low-fat milk is that you're also skimming off not just the fat, but also the fat-soluble vitamins, such as vitamin D. Now, although they put that back in it artificially in a lot of cases, it's questionable whether artificial vitamins that are being put in are going to be absorbed into your body as well as vitamins that were naturally in that food product already. You also miss out on omega-3. I always think we should be very skeptical about any types of food that isn't natural. Any foods that have been processed or any foods that have been manipulated, I think are very rarely more healthy than foods that have just been left alone. So I know this is a controversial topic, and the problem is that when we've had this belief for so long and we consume this type of product for so long, it can be very hard to change our mind or very hard to convince ourselves that the alternative may be true. But I really urge you to have a look into this yourself if you don't believe me. And please do put any comments down below if you have anything that goes against this argument, or you have any research to show the opposite than what I've been saying. I'll love to discuss it with you. But otherwise, if you found this video interesting and you're interested more in looking into the low-fat industry, I have another video I did a couple years ago on the low-fat industry that you can just check out right here. And as I mentioned, if you are new here and you haven't yet subscribed, then please do hit that subscribe button underneath. And I will promise you I will be producing more quality content like this one going forward. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.